Hello students, welcome to video lecture on mechanics and conventions of writing. This is the 6th chapter in your textbook, Writing for Academic and Professional Success. With this lecture, I'll finish my portions for the paper and I expect you to study well. I know this is a year we all passing through a very difficult phase of the COVID outbreak, but I hope this will end soon and you will be able to get back to your colleges soon. In the meantime, you shouldn't lose touch with your studies. Okay, so shall we start? So, before I begin my lecture, I wanted to tell you that the slides I have prepared, the materials for slides I have taken from distance education material made by Calicut University. You can also follow the same to get a small a small understanding, a summary of what is in your textbook. The reason why I have taken it are basically two. One reason is that it's very simple, the chapter is very simple, and most of the ideas presented in your textbook and the distance education material are the same. So I thought of not wasting my effort on typing and preparing different slides. And the second reason I will tell you about the end of the end of this presentation. You'll understand why I have taken this and why I have acknowledged that I have taken it from this source. Okay. So in this chapter you will learn mainly two major conventions of academic writing: punctuation and documentation. Then you will also learn some rules of using punctuation and style guides in academic writing and importance of maintaining academic integrity while writing. What is academic integrity? I'll tell you towards the end of the chapter. So, mechanisms and conventions of writing. So, when you're writing for academic purpose, you can't simply write, use any format, use any spelling, or use the punctuation as you feel like. You can't do that. So academic writing will become perfect only when you use these conventions very properly. Formal assignments require adherence to punctuations, rules and stylistic restrictions. You have to follow the rule. Then only your writing will become perfect, and you will be able to convey meaning to the person who is reading your assignment. You have to have a formal tone and objectivity. This we have studied earlier in the earlier chapter, that your academic writing should be very formal, it should be objective. Now how will you bring objectivity? Documentation and punctuation are also part of making it formal and objective. So punctuation is a very crucial factor when you are writing. Each punctuation means a particular thing. A comma, a colon, a full stop, each have a particular meaning. Now we look at the meaning of punctuations. So punctuations are therefore bringing clarity of expression. So the person Lynn Truss has called punctuation marks as the traffic signals of language, like the traffic which signal that tell you to slow down, to stop, to take a different route. In the same way, punctuation give indication of stopping, transition and all those things. It brings accuracy to what you are writing. It strengthens your argument and help emphasizing the major idea. So if you use a wrong punctuation, if you use a full stop instead of a comma, a hyphen instead of a colon, you unnecessarily use brackets, that will erode the meaning of your writing. So we usually have a funny example in English. We usually say panda eats, shoots and leaves. This sentence can have two meaning. One, the usual meaning, panda eats shoots and leaves. It is eating shoots and leaves. If you are using comma properly, the punctuations properly, or you can have a very funny idea. Panda comes, eats, then it shoots and leaves. It's the comma, it's the punctuation that brings out the meaning. So, there is also a textbook example there. A woman without her man is nothing. If you change the place of the comma, instead of woman, the man becomes nothing. If you change the comma, a woman without comma, her man is nothing, the entire meaning changes. So, punctuation marks are very essential in achieving perfection in academic writing. So, we look at the first important punctuation mark, that is a comma. So, where do you use comma? Comma tells you to stop, pause. ഒന്ന് ചെറുതായിട്ട് നിർത്താനാണ് കോമ നമ്മളോട് പറയുന്നത്. So, after the introductory word or phrase, to begin with, that's an introductory word. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കോമ ഇടും. Besides, moreover, you should always put a comma afterwards. Then, to list a set of nouns in a sentence. നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ ലിസ്റ്റ് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഫ്രൂട്ട്സ് ലൈക്ക് പപ്പായ, ബെറി, ഗോവ, ആപ്രിക്കോട്ട്, pear, കിവി. അപ്പോൾ ആൻഡിൻ്റെ മുൻപേ വരുന്ന എല്ലാ വേർഡ്സിൻ്റെയും അവിടെ കോമ ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണം. To separate words and word groups. Then to list coordinating adjectives. So here rooms are said to be well maintained and spacious. So well maintained, spacious എന്ന് രണ്ടും എന്താണ് റൂമിനുള്ള ആബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ കോമ വേണം. Then if adjectives are interchangeable, then there should be commas. Then, to separate interrupting words and expressions in a sentence. So, ഇടയിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ കൊടുക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി മാത്രം കൊടുക്കുന്ന വേർഡ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇൻ്ററപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ആ സെൻറ്റൻസിനെ ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് വരുന്ന വേർഡ്, you add comma. The famous composer, Mozart, is known for his symphonies. If you write the famous composer is known for his symphonies, then also the sentence is complete. Or Mozart is known for his symphonies, then also it is complete. So you put a comma there. Then Arundhati Roy, who won Booker Prize in 1997. Who won Booker Prize in 1997 is an extra information. So you put that in comma. Then to set off a quote. When you are about to begin a quote, before you write the quotation mark, you put a comma there. Then you have semicolon. So what is the purpose of semicolon? മലയാളത്തിൽ അർദ്ധവിരാമം എന്ന് പറയും. It's not like a full stop. It is a pause, it is a break. It is not longer than comma. It is longer than comma but shorter than full stop. Full stopൻ്റെയും കോമൻ്റെയും ഇടയിൽ ലെങ്ത് വരുന്ന ഒരു ബ്രേക്കാണ് സെമികോളൻ. സോ സെൻറ്റൻസസിൽ നമുക്ക് ബട്ട്, ആൻഡ്, ഫോർ, നോർ, ഓർ, സോ, യെറ്റ് ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ ആവശ്യമുണ്ടാവും. അപ്പോൾ അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നതിന് പകരം യു ക്യാൻ ഓൾസോ യൂസ് സെമികോളൻ. ഐ നോ യുവർ ഫാദർ, ഹി ഹാസ് ക്ലോസ് അസോസിയേഷൻ വിത്ത് my uncle. So in between you have a semicolon. So sentence is not complete without that semicolon. To separate items in a list. കോമയോ ബാക്കി കൺജങ്ഷനോ ആൻഡോ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാതെ പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് ലിസ്റ്റ് സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനും സെമികോളൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം. സെമികോളൻ ഓൾസോ വിൽ റീപ്ലേസ് എ ഫുൾ സ്റ്റോപ്പ്. സോ ഇൻസ്റ്റെഡ് ഓഫ് യൂസിങ്, ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരുപാട് സെൻറ്റൻസസ് പറയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസ് ഫുൾ സ്റ്റോപ്പ് വെച്ച് നിർത്തി, ഇഫ് യു ആർ ബിഗിനിങ് എ ന്യൂ സെൻറ്റൻസ് യു ഹാവ് ടു യൂസ് എ ലിങ്കിങ് വേർഡ്. സോ യു വാണ്ട് ടു ഷോർട്ടൻ ദ സെൻറ്റൻസസ്, then you use semicolon in between. So if you are using the word however, and if there is a semicolon in front of the however, like you begin a sentence, you have to put a comma after the word however. Next is colon. Colon means two dots. Colon is used both in formal and informal contexts. It introduces a series of lists. So to separate the series, use comma. ഇനി ആ ലിസ്റ്റിനെ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് മുൻപായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കോളൻ ആണ് വെക്കുക. ടു സ്റ്റാർട്ട് എ ലിസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ഐറ്റം. രണ്ട് ഇൻഡിപെൻഡൻറ്റ് ക്ലോസ് ഉള്ള സെൻറ്റൻസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് രണ്ടാമത് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് മുമ്പ് യു പുട്ട് എ സെമി കോളൻ. Next is double quotation mark. You know that double quotation mark is used for quotations. When you are quoting something, when you are quoting the title, when you are quoting a comment, you put that entire comment or the title in double quotation. To write the title of essays, journals, magazine article, poems and short stories, you put the title inside two double quotes. Okay, double quotation mark. Then you have single quotation mark. There is a difference between double quotation and single quotation. So when you use a word or a technical term, you use single quotation. Then to show a quote within a quote, if you are quoting from a book, you put double quotes. If that sentences have another quote inside, so you to show this different quotes, you use this single quotation mark also. Then another one is apostrophe, like Arvind's bottle, Sita's book. So to show possession, boys, girls, you have that example there. Apostrophe is mainly used to indicate contraction, like it is, it's. A possession. Contracted forms are not used in academic style, but possessive forms you can use. But in personal pronouns like mine, yours, his, hers, ours and theirs, you needn't mark a apostrophe. Next is parenthesis. Parenthesis is a type of bracket. So it is used to set off an information which is not essential but given added information. അത്തരത്തിൽ എസെൻഷ്യൽ അല്ലാതെ കൂടുതലായ ഒരു ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ തരുമ്പോഴാണ് പാരന്തസിസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. അതേപോലെ when you are quoting from a book, when you are writing an assignment, you are quoting from a book. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കോട്ട് എവിടെ നിന്നാണ് എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളതെന്ന് കാണിക്കാനുള്ള സൈറ്റേഷന് ഈ പാരന്തസിസിലാണ് കൊടുക്കുക. നമ്മൾ പൊതുവെ പാരന്തസിസിന് ബ്രാക്കറ്റ് എന്നാണ് പറയുക. ബ്രാക്കറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് ശരിക്കും സ്ക്വയർ ബ്രാക്കറ്റ് ആണ്. ദ അതർ തിങ് ഇസ് പാരന്തസിസ്. ബ്രാക്കറ്റ്സ്, parenthesis, the usages of brackets and parenthesis are different. So I told you parenthesis is used to set off an information which are non-essential or to give in-text citation, or used to explain or clarify what is preceding. ഒരു വാക്കിൻ്റെ മീനിങ് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി ഈ ബ്രാക്കറ്റാണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. Parenthesis is used to insert a clarification, a translation, or a change in capitalization. Here, Susan Sontag opined that travel becomes a strategy. So, in the actual code, travel, T is in capital. So, to change here, when it becomes a part of the sentence, that T is converted into a small t. So, that is being shown using this parenthesis bracket. Then you find their emphasis added. That is to make a clarification. Or you add a translation, ad valorem, means according to value. So that's a translation and it is put in that bracket. And now we are going to talk about dashes. There are particularly three kind of dashes, that is m dash, n dash and a hyphen. M dash means the longer one, long dash. It is 3 times longer than a hyphen. It is M dash is used to replace colon, comma or parenthesis. Instead of using colon, comma and parenthesis, you can simply put a long dash. But in academic writing, it is not encouraged because it's less formal. Then hyphen. So hyphen is very commonly used these days. It's we use hyphenated words very often. So in compound words beginning with an adverb, hyphen is used only if the adjective come before the nouns. So ill-fitting is a compound word. It is a combination of two words. Here it is used as an adjective for clothes. So you use a hyphen in between. So Arun's article was well written. If you are writing well written article, because it becomes an adjective, you will put a hyphen in between well and written. And compound numbers less than 100, all the numbers less than 100, it is usually spelled with a hyphen. We usually don't consider these things, but it's important. You write 42 40 hyphen 2. Then between prefixes and proper noun, you know what a prefix is? That part of the word which is added to a root word, like anti, all, cross, ex, self. These are prefixes. Pre-2001 scenario, post-9/11 trend, anti-American, post-apocalypse. So all these are hyphen between prefix and the proper noun. The last one is period or full stop. Full stop is also called period. It is the most simplest one. When we end a sentence, we use a period. If it's not a question or an exclamation, we use period. In case of questions, if it is an indirect question, then also we will use a period. If you are quoting a long sentence and you're omitting some sentences in between, you put a lot of dots. These are called ellipses. If a sentence ends with parenthesis, if a sentence ends with a bracket, the full stop is put after the parenthesis. And if there are two sentences and one is put inside the parenthesis, then there will be two full stops, one at the end of the first sentence and one at the end of the sentence that is inside the parenthesis. Then in case of abbreviations, use full stops. Another punctuation is capitalization. Capitalization is to write the first letter in capital and the rest in the lowercase. When you're writing the name of the titles, the name of a person, or when you're beginning a sentence in the name of a proper nouns or adjectives derived from a proper noun, and then and when you're writing the day and month, you'll write the first letter in capitals. So after this part, there is an assignment given, activity suggestion given. I would like you to do this activity and post it in the comment section. Either the first one or the second one. You have to punctuate it accordingly. Now, after punctuation comes documentation. So academic style is a part of the documentation. So what is academic style? So there is a difference between academic writing and other forms of writings like newspaper articles, magazines and dissertation and other informal communication. To academic writing is also regulated using some stylistic features. When you're usually writing a newspaper article, you needn't bother about style factors. You have to be very careful about punctuation, but you needn't show the source. When you're writing a story, you don't need required to show that I've taken this idea from this book or I have taken this quote from this. But when you're writing an academic assignment, you have to show all these informations, and because of this academic writing is put to a lot of regulation. These are called stylistic features. First thing is you have to document the source. If you are writing about any topic, if you're you have to show that I got this idea from this book or this website. You have to show the source. That is the first important thing. And if you're writing quotations, if you are borrowed some words from other assignment, other papers, you have to show that I have taken this quotation from this book, or this term I have used in my assignment was initially used by another person in another essay. So stylistic consistency is very important in academic writing. There are two types of stylistic conventions. One is the APA style and the other is the MLA styles. So English literature uses MLA style, but scientific papers will use APA style. Liberal arts and humanities follow MLA styles, while social sciences and sciences follow APA style. There are two types of documentations used. One is the parenthetical documentation, the other is the works cited. നമ്മൾ പാരന്തസിസ് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇൻ ടെക്സ്റ്റ് സൈറ്റേഷൻ കൊടുക്കാൻ നമ്മൾ ബ്രാക്കറ്റ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. യു ടേക്ക് ദ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ദർ. ഇൻ ദി എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഗിവൻ there are growth of a poet's mind. That is a subtitle. You get a what? You get the source where this book is taken from, and then towards the end of that small paragraph you find Yarker 11 to 12. That is the name of the author given in bracket. So this entire quotation is taken from Yarker's book. So that is in-text citation, and you find some highlighted numbers like 1970, 1969, Bakehausen, James, Lincoln, Crockett and Marx. So these show that these ideas are taken from, or these quotes are taken from already existing books. The 1970 referred to the year of publication of that book. Bakehausen and James are the authors or editors. So in this way, whenever you are writing something, if you have taken an idea from a different source, you have to show you have to document the original source in the text using in-text citation. Other than in-text citation, you have references and bibliography that you find at the end of the essay or end of the book, where the author will clearly write the entire title, the year of publication, the publishers. So it is written in a particular order, and this particular order varies with MLA style or APA style. So you find here Backhouse CI, CI. So the name of the person is CI Backhouse. So in MLA style, the name is inverted. Then in bracket you give the year of the publication of the book, and in double quotes you have the title of the book. Then in italics it is shown from which journal it is taken. Then you have page number also. So this is the way you document in academic writing. So the minute details of documentation styles are given in manuals of style. So you have basically two main styles. One is the MLA style and the other is the APA style. And if you look at the MLA style book, you will find how to where to put where to put a quotation as a different paragraph, and when you can use quotation in the same paragraph itself, how to give the year of publication, how to write the name of the title, or how to quote a poetry. You get all this minute information in the style book, and academic writing has to follow this. So sciences follow APA style, and literature and other humanities subjects follow MLA style. And the style book is often renewed and revived. In 2016 came the 8th edition, and doesn't mean that MLA style will be permanent. After some years, this will again be revised into a 9th edition. Same is the case with APA style. Now let us look at MLA style. It's a style guide for academic writing. As I told you, it's developed by Modern Language Association. It is used by writers and researchers in academic writing, and they give guidelines on how to write the headline. They also give guidelines on text formatting, tables and illustration. So in this textbook also you find a table number given, activity number given. So these are all according to certain style books. Where do you put the page number? In MLA format, the page number is always below the text in the center. Then how much margin should be given? Which kind of paper and printing should be used? How do you insert corrections? How do you bind the paper? Everything is given. So this is why you are made to write an thesis or project work in the final year of your BA program, to make you familiarize with either MLA style or APA style. So they also give information, strict guidelines regarding quoting from other book. If you don't give the if you don't express from where you have taken this idea, that amounts to literary theft. That's called plagiarism. Next is APA style. It is a standardized scientific writing style guide, and the style guide was developed by American Psychological Association. And this APA style requires you to write the paper with different section. When you are writing in APA style, there should be a title page, there should be an abstract, there should be an introduction, there should be a methodology page, there should be results, there should be discussions, references and appendices. These are must. So as I already told you, there will be specific guidelines where to put spacing, how to put spacing, whether you can have a spacing before each paragraph, what is the length of the margin, how many page numbers, how do you put the title of a page, then how do you put a citation, in-text citation, author page citation. So MLA uses author page citation. That is, in MLA, when you quote the source, when you write that this is taken from this book. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു പാരഗ്രാഫ് നിന്ന് കോട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ബ്രാക്കറ്റിൽ എഴുതുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഓഥറിൻ്റെ പേരും പേജ് നമ്പറുമാണ് MLA സ്റ്റൈലിൽ എഴുതുക. APA സ്റ്റൈലിൽ ഓഥറിൻ്റെ പേരും ഡേറ്റും ആണ് ഇടുക, ഇയർ ആണ് ഇടുക ഇൻ ടെക്സ്റ്റിൽ. Then the last section, academic integrity. So this is the one reason I discussed with you in the beginning of this lecture, that I told you that I have taken the entire slides from the distance material. I've only made very minor changes. Why did I tell you this in the forefront itself? It is to maintain the academic integrity. I want to bring your awareness to this thing. What usually students do is that they copy from other books or web pages and they just submit it as their own. This amounts to plagiarism. You should not be doing that. It is unethical. It is not morally correct. So when you are copying from other sources, you have to give the source documentation. You have to quote it. You have to acknowledge that you have taken that idea from another source. So in order to acknowledge that I have taken from my taken the information from another source, and I have not used my own source. I told you that this is from a distance education material. So you have to always maintain academic integrity while you are writing while you are writing assignments, because once you graduate and go out, once you join a PG course, this becomes a very serious issue. It is considered as a theft. Like you steal other people's item, it's considered as an intellectual theft. So you have to stop this practice of simply writing from other sources. You have to try to write on your own. You can use other ideas, but you have to acknowledge that, you have to quote it and say that I have taken it from this source. You have to show it in your reference and bibliography. So what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is copying another person's text or ideas and passing the copied material as your own. Then it can bring penalty to your work also. It can be penalized. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is proofreading. We have already discussed about revising. After you complete the entire paper, before submitting and publishing your paper, you read the draft paper again and again, and that is called proofreading. And you check certain mistakes and you correct those mistakes. Like you correct the spelling mistakes, because often when you type this these research paper on your laptop or using a typewriter, lot of errors creep in. So now you have to sit and proofread and edit these mistakes. Sometimes even after revising and editing, your sentences will be in fragments. The sentences might be of the same kind. There will be no subject verb agreement. You have to change everything for the one last time, and you have to check whether you have given all the documentation needed, whether you have acknowledged that you have taken this material. You have to check whether you have forgotten to give that you have taken this quote from this book, because that can be penalized. You have to avoid all kind of plagiarisms. And before you write an academic writing, you know that you will form a framework. You have to form an outline, how which paragraph should be written where, what ideas should come in this paragraph, what idea should come in next paragraph. And now you have to cross check, is your assignment following the same outline you have prepared for it. Then you have to recheck the thesis statement. Most often what happens is that when once we start writing, we drift away. നമ്മൾ എഴുതി നമ്മൾ ഐഡിയാസ് എവിടെയൊക്കെയോ എത്തും. അപ്പോൾ തീസിസ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റിൽ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം തന്നെയാണ് മൊത്തം എസ്സേയിലും കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്, ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. അത് നോക്കണം. ഇഫ് ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട്, യു ഹാവ് ടു റീറൈറ്റ് ഇറ്റ്. സോ ദിസ് ഇസ് ദ വേ you subject your academic writing to punctuation as well as other documentation principles. This is a very simple chapter. I think I have explained it adequately. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Thank you for listening to the video lecture, and this completes your portions. Thank you.